Today we're going to attempt an oil change on this beautiful Series 2 E-Type Jaguar. I've mentioned this before, but we don't have any power in this garage here, so if you don't have any power and you want to get a car up on a lift, the Hamer lifting systems do a lift which basically relies on 4 tractor jacks, and you just pump the car up. It's very stable, very secure. The first thing is to find out where the actual oil sump is on this car. This looks like it here. That looks like the filter up there. If you can see that, yeah. This looks like a filter. And this here looks like the oil sump bolt. Of course, it's completely different to the normal oil sump bolts, but we'll have to see if we've got a tool to get that out. You would think that doing an oil change on this E-Type Jaguar would be a relatively simple thing, but somebody has decided to put a non-standard square sump bolt in, so I'm going to try and get it out using this tool here, which I normally use for holding tap and die set bits. If that doesn't work, we're going to try an adjustable spanner. The problem is with these Jaguars that there's a very good chance that we end up stripping the threads on the sump bolt and then having to take the whole sump out, re-weld the hole, re-drill it. So let's just see how it goes. Okay, I've got the tool on the square bolt, and now I'm just going to see if I can just turn that without snapping off the head of the bolt or damaging it too much. You start your oil change on your Jaguar, don't forget to take the oil cap off before you take the sump bolt out. Oil will come out much easier if you do. Put it somewhere nice and safe without getting oil everywhere. Let's just actually came out relatively easily. The colour of that oil is black. Oil is almost finished draining. The next job is to take out this bolt here, take this canister off, and actually change the oil filter. Okay, the oil filter came off relatively easy. There's one seal in there, a rubber seal, circular seal that comes with the filter that we'll have to get out. Just remember that when you do take the filter out, you're still going to have a whole load of oil dripping down, so make sure you've got something underneath that to catch that. So let's just take this outside and look at what's actually inside here. Doing an oil change on an E-Type Jaguar Series 2. This is the oil filter housing. You'll notice that it's not in bad condition inside, but on the outside there is some rust on there. If you wanted to clean this up, if you were doing a restoration or something like that, you could just use a product called Evapo-Rust, and you just pour a little cup of that product in and sit this canister in there overnight, and all of that rust will just dissolve away. You could use Brasso or something like that to shine that canister up. However, I'm not going to do that. What I am going to do is show you the correct way to actually fit all the various bolts and washers, because when this came off, it wasn't done correctly. The first thing is there is a washer on the bottom of here, rubber washer, that you need to take off and replace with the one that comes with the seal, which is this here. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. You'll find that the new one that comes is going to be slightly thicker, but it will crush down. That's the washer that came off, it's crushed flat. We put the new rubber washer on. The next thing that happens is you insert that into the canister. I'll do this with one hand. The next thing that goes in there is actually the spring. When we took this out, somebody had actually put the washer and the felt washer in first, but that's not the way it's supposed to go. The next thing that happens is the spring goes in like that. the next thing that happens is the metal washer that should have come out of the car when you took the canister off, goes over the top, and then you will need a felt washer, this thing here. Now the part number of this is 11665. 11665, and you'll almost certainly need a new one when you come to do an oil change, and it doesn't come with the filter. Once you've got the felt washer on, the easiest way to get it on is actually to screw it on, hold the felt washer with one hand and then just screw the bolt from below. So once you've got the felt washer on, you put the metal plate on. Now, once again, it's important to get this in the right way. The groove, the felt washer sits inside the groove, like so. And last, and probably least, there should be a circlip on the end of here, which you'll see in various YouTube videos make no mention of it, but there's a little clip that sits on the end of here to stop this springing up. That is part number 6163. 6163. This isn't exactly the right clip, but it'll do the job. That clip is to stop everything coming out once you've put it in, but you'll either need very small hands or some kind of long tool to push that clip down. Last but not least, you put the filter over the top like so. Now when you buy this filter from S&G Barrett, you do actually get an additional rubber washer, this one here, which you're not going to need because these actually already have gaskets on either side. You might remember when this filter came out of the car, it had two of these, one on each side. Maybe it was an old style filter, but this filter is not going to need it. Once it's in there, bear in mind it is spring loaded and that's going to sit tight against the car. You are putting the canister back on. Just make sure you don't do anything silly like cross the threads. Always hand tighten first as much as possible. Make sure you've actually got the bolt seated correctly before you start getting a spanner on there. You don't need to over tighten this, you just need to nip it on. This particular Jaguar, we've got a real problem because what came out of that there is this non-standard square bolt. And what should have come, it didn't have any copper crush washer with it. What should have come out of there is this, which I've ordered from S&G Barrett, plus the copper crush washer. And this does fit in there, but you can see that it's quite loose. Some might say too loose. There's a little bit of play there, but what I'm hoping is, I'm going to actually put in there what should be in there, and I'm hoping that this crush washer here will actually seal it properly. I'm also hoping when I tighten this up, I don't strip the threads and end up with a whole world of pain. So hopefully when you come to do your oil change, it'll just be a simple matter of taking out a bolt and replacing the crush washer. Don't forget to order that when you order your filter. Okay, I now know why there's a non-standard bolt in there, and it's because the actual bolt won't tighten, it just turns. So now what I've got to do is figure out whether I've actually ruined the threads so that the old bit doesn't go in anymore, in which case there's a whole world of pain in terms of taking off the entire sump, welding the hole and re-drilling it all. Okay. So far I've been lucky, and that the non-standard bolt that was in there before has gone back in quite snugly, so it doesn't look like the threads are stripped, but we won't find that out until we fill the car up with oil. The correct amount of oil for an E-Type Jaguar is 14.5 pints, which is 7.25 litres. And what came out of this car was exactly 7.25 litres. And what you should do is actually put in exactly 14.5 pints and then test where the level is on your dipstick, because if this dipstick is bent or the lip at the bottom has moved, you'll never get an accurate reading. So what you should do is put in 14.5 pints after you've done an oil change, and then check it on run the car to temperature first, then leave it for about an hour, and then check it on the dipstick to make sure it's full, and mark that as your full mark. There's huge amounts of different discussions about what oil to put in E-types, but I put in Castrol XL 2050. You can buy these 20-litre containers on eBay. They cost about £100 for 20 litres. It's substantially cheaper than buying these smaller 5 or 10-litre containers. That will be delivered to your house for about £100. You can get that on eBay. So that was a bit of a disaster. Would be an understatement. Oil is leaking out where the oil filter canister is attached to the body. So either the wrong seal is in there, or it's not seated properly, or something else is wrong. So we'll have to do the whole thing again. Okay, so the first time I started the engine up, we had oil pouring out, and I can only imagine it's because this seal here was not seated properly, and the result was something similar to Exxon Valdez. Probably dumped a litre of oil on the floor. So another thing that's worth remembering if you are doing this is before you start the car up, make sure that you actually have something underneath it, just in case. First time I put that seal in, I think maybe I was a bit casual. This time I've used a little watchmaker screwdriver to really make sure that it's flush in the groove. It's quite a deep groove, to really make sure it's pushed down. I've run the watchmaker screwdriver all the way around there, just to really make sure there's no bits sticking up. Doesn't mean it won't leak, but we're gonna put the filter back on and try again. If you do have this problem, you don't have to drain all the oil around, because the filter sits much higher than the sump, so you just have to remember to put that amount of oil back in. To summarise, before you start doing an oil change on an E-Type Jaguar, make sure you've got all the bits you're going to need. You're going to need the crush washer for the sump bolts. Okay, that's part number 26310. 26310. You're almost certainly going to need a new felt seal. That's part number 11665. You quite possibly will be missing the clip that holds everything down. That's part number 6163. In the oil filter box, the oil filter is part number JLM 9544. In there, you're going to get the rubber washer that goes on the bottom of the bolt. You're going to get the big washer. In fact, you're going to get 2 of them. That goes on the actual car, and you're going to get a spare washer that you probably won't need. We didn't anyway, and together with the filter. In addition to all of those parts, just make sure you don't make the same mistakes that I made. When you're putting that washer on the car, make sure it is seated properly. Go around with a little screwdriver and really make sure it's flat. You can save yourself a whole heap of work making sure that that is in the groove properly. Make sure you've also got a bit of kitchen roll, good quality kitchen roll to catch any oil, and that you obviously have something underneath the car to catch the oil, not just from the sump plug, but also when you take the filter off.